Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. I'm your host, Amy Beltran, CEO and founder of Irresistible University. Through my signature online coaching program, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. If you would like to learn more about my program and see if you would be a good fit to work with me and enroll into Irresistible You, please schedule a free confidence clarity call at irresistibleicing.com/call. The link is also in the show notes. Welcome back to this week's episode. Today, we are going to be talking all things toxic positivity. Before we dive into it, I just want to say, if you're new here, my voice is getting on my own nerves because I am constantly out of breath and I am congested 24/7 because I am just about 28 weeks pregnant. And I don't know what it is. The minute I get pregnant, it was the same thing with my daughter. I am just congested 24/7 and I can't breathe. And as I get bigger and bigger, and my diaphragm is being pushed, it's harder to get breath in. So if I'm breathy, I'm not running around doing a marathon, guys. I'm about to be in my third trimester, and the struggle is real. So let's just get into it, okay? Toxic positivity. I can't fucking stand it. I'm just going to say it right now. It's utter bullshit. And I don't know about you, but I am seeing this more and more, especially because I think we're spending a lot more time online these days with everything going on. And every time I open Facebook, I almost regret doing it because it doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel pissed off. It makes me feel annoyed. And, I just, and it's one of those things where it's like for my business and my work, I have to be on Facebook. I have to use certain tools in Facebook. And I just have shortcuts to like my groups that I manage. And I tell my students to do the same thing because I'm scrolling the feed and I was thinking, remember that lady Marie Kondo who comes and like organizes your house and she's like, "Does this spark joy?" And I was thinking, there's a lot of so-called friends on my social media feeds who are not sparking joy when I open my app. And I need to probably start doing some housekeeping, house cleaning, and I have been doing that a little bit here and there. And I can actually think of right now two people in particular who are the epitome of toxic positivity. And that's what we're talking about. So, excuse me for that. I know it's super annoying, and I don't go back and edit podcasts. Ain't nobody got time for that. So, sorry, guys. You got 12 more weeks of me, and I should be back to normal with my voice. So, what is toxic positivity? Well, when I first heard this term, it was like the light bulb went off for me, and I was like, that is the thing I've been trying to communicate for years. Like, that is the thing that has always irritated the crap out of me, but I didn't have words for it. And let's just kind of define what it is in case you don't understand. So, toxic positivity is using positivity in excess where you are generalizing someone's situation, yourself or someone else's, and you're in this like 24/7 optimistic state, even though that's not realistic. So, in essence, toxic positivity is the denial and the invalidation of emotions. Okay, it's the denial, minimization, and invalidation of human emotions. Okay, so people who practice toxic positivity, um, they're very uncomfortable with emotions that aren't quote unquote happy and joyful. Okay, and I'm going to take a little bit of a different spin on this today. You can certainly use what I talk about today in your interactions with other people. But I'm going to be approaching toxic positivity from how you even interact with yourself and how you carry emotional weight and how it interacts with the yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle, because that's what we're all about here. And so this is really going to be from the perspective of interacting with yourself. But this applies to how you interact with other people. And I think all of us at some point have been guilty of practicing toxic positivity, and we didn't even realize that it was toxic. And a lot of this came around too with, all these self help gurus and just think positive, good vibes only, blah, blah, blah. And we think we're doing a good thing by trying to push away the uncomfortable emotions, but it's actually really damaging to do that. And we're going to talk about that in the episode. So let me just say this. So years ago, back in the day, when my husband, we had only been together about a year, and he was getting deployed. He was in the Navy and he was getting deployed for 6 months on the ship. And I had never experienced anything like that. I didn't even know how that was going to work. I was like, how can I be in this new relationship and I'm like head over heels in love with this man and he's going to be gone physically for 6 months? Like, I won't survive. And I literally thought I was going to die. I just did not know how to handle that situation. And it was I was emotionally immature at the time. I mean, super emotionally immature at the time. I was only 24, I want to say, when he left. And, people try to make you feel better and they're coming from a good place and they're like, you're going to be fine. You're so strong. Everything's going to go by fast, all that kind of stuff, where a lot of times people aren't trying to be toxic. They just don't know what to say because people are uncomfortable with uncomfortable emotions, especially other people's emotions. And I just remember one of my friends, she said something to me, and it was like the most refreshing, just validating statement that anybody made to me at that time. And she said to me, it is going to fucking suck. Deployments fucking suck. And that it was just the most, like, the best thing anybody said to me, because it wasn't sugar coated. It wasn't pushing away uncomfortableness. It was like, yeah, this is gonna suck. And I needed to hear that. And I think a lot of times, people are coming from a good place and they're trying to make you feel better and they don't want to add to your discomfort and your pain, so they don't say the truth. But her saying the truth, and she also was in the Navy, so she understood what was going to happen. And her saying that to me was just like, oh, yeah, this is going to suck. And so that's really, toxic positivity is kind of like sugarcoating a bad or an uncomfortable situation, but that doesn't take it away, and it doesn't allow the person to actually process the real feelings of what's going to happen. And I have to tell you, like, since I was a kid, I've always been suspicious. I've been very suspicious of those people that were just nice and happy and bubbly what seemed like 24/7. And you know the types. And hey, no shade, you might be that person. And if that's how you are, I really want you to take this into consideration and think about how you're doing yourself a disservice. It's always made me uncomfortable. It has always annoyed me to be around people like that, because here's the deal. Nobody is happy and nice 24/7. It's fake, it's inauthentic, and it's downright harmful to come across that way. And I think a lot of these self-help so-called, I hate saying this word, like self-help gurus, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean, they are spewing toxic positivity. And that is why, even after I read her books, because everybody was reading them, I said, let me give it a shot, let me give it a chance. And even after I read the Rachel Hollis books, I just couldn't jump on that train. I was like, how are people seeing this as motivational? This is so surface level. It is so fake. It is so forced happiness and niceness because she just wants people to like her. That's my opinion. That's my impression of it. And I walked away from those books feeling icky, annoyed, and not really inspired by any of it, because I can just see right through it. And coming across with this toxic positivity, the problem with it is that you're in denial about what's really going on. You're in denial about your real emotions. And when we go back to the yo yo diet body hate shame cycle, a big trait of women that are trapped on that cycle is a form of being in denial. Being in denial about what's really going on. I've shared that story here multiple times where after high school, when I put on almost 100 pounds, I was in total denial that it was even happening, even though my clothes, they no longer fit, even though I couldn't zip up my boots. I was just telling myself, everything's fine, everything's good. Oh my God. It's like just sugarcoating and staying very, very surface level. And uncomfortable emotions. So let's say something first. Emotions are not supposed to be put into two buckets, good or bad. And I think, when you're coming from a place of toxic positivity, you compartmentalize things are either good or things are either bad. Okay? It's either all positive or it's negative. And emotions are neither. You need to think of emotions as like uh they're kind of like little guiding lights, if you will, okay? They're kind of like check engine lights, if you will, where it's like if you're having an emotion, your body is trying to tell you something. Emotions are trying to help you um, process something that's going on. So, for example, you know, if you ever feel sad or angry, and you just see those as negative emotions, you push them away and you judge yourself for feeling that way. If you have a bad day and you come home and you don't feel energized to do your workout and you just want to sit on the couch, rather than feel the sadness of what you're going through, you judge yourself for feeling that way because you think you're supposed to be this happy, nice person 24/7, and that's just not realistic. So, if you're wondering, like, oh my gosh, am I like a toxic positive person? I want you to think about emotions, your own emotions first, and how they make you feel. And if unpleasant emotions are making you uncomfortable, then that's something you're going to have to work on. So think about, if someone tells you something really hard and deep, uh, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, then that's something you're going to have to work on because people are entitled to, and the reason people react with toxic positivity is because they feel uncomfortable and unequipped to handle people's emotions. So you might be going through something really hard. I don't want to have to deal with that. That is too heavy. That scares me. I don't want that space in my life. So I'm going to just say positive vibes only or some bullshit phrase like that. And that's the kind of stuff I keep seeing on social media. It's like, um, the stuff people put, these stupid fucking quotes and shit, like positive vibes only, good vibes only. Everything happens for a reason. Don't worry, be happy. Happiness is a choice. And it's like at the core, like I get it. Those things are, you know, they have good intentions, but people don't realize how invalidating it is to say that kind of stuff. And it's just not, It's not helpful. It's more harmful than it is helpful. And when you are coming from a place of toxic positivity, number one, emotions make you uncomfortable, yours and other people's, okay? And you tend to use some of those phrases. Just think positive. It could be worse. Everything happens for a reason. Happiness is a choice. And you stay there. This is why I say you can come across fake. And I'm suspicious of people like this because these people don't show their true authentic self. They don't show vulnerability. They don't show the human side that we can all connect with. Because I cannot connect with someone who wants to portray that they're this happy fucking cheerleader 24/7. It's absolutely irritating because it's not real. Um, so these people stay very surface level with themselves and with others. There's no deep connection with these types of people. These are the people that when you ask them how they're doing, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Great. They can never just say, I'm not doing so good today. And I personally want to be around people that can connect in a deeper way. And I also want to be around people that if I say, you know what? I'm having a really hard time with this pandemic shit. I want people that are going to be like, I get it. I know, right? Like, it freaking sucks. Or like my friend, when my husband was being deployed for the first time when we were together, it's going to fucking suck. I don't want to, and it's like, we don't want to be around negative people, but you need this reality check of like, we're supposed to feel good and not so great emotions. We're supposed to feel those things. Okay? And if my heavy emotions make someone else uncomfortable, then I quite frankly don't want to be around that person. Honestly. And so a lot of times what you're doing when you so denial is like a big thing with toxic positivity. And so you funnel your denial, like let's think about how it shows up. You funnel your denial into people pleasing because you want everyone to see you as nice. And I know I was guilty of this back in the day. I know I've been guilty of toxic positivity because I didn't want to deal with people's stuff. We've all been there. And, as I've gotten older and I've learned more about myself and I've done this work and I'm, committed to this Irresistible You journey, I don't give a shit whether you see me nice or not. Because coming across nice is not my goal. And I'm a good person. I have a kind heart. I am loyal. I am, always rooting for the underdog. But I don't need to portray this. And when I say nice, it's like, especially with women, right? It's like saying you're sorry for every little thing. I had to consciously make a decision to change that. Writing emails, sorry I haven't replied yet, sorry I was late, sorry blah blah blah. And it's like, it gets to the point where the word sorry doesn't have any meaning anymore. It's become a filler buffer word because we just want everyone to think we're nice. I don't care if you think I'm nice or not, because here's the thing, and we talk about this a lot inside of my student coaching program. Matter of fact, I have a joke lately that every coaching call we do every week, this topic of boundaries comes up because it's that important. And I tell the girls all the time in the program, like, the more you build your confidence and you build this stronger, belief in yourself, then you start to build healthy, strong boundaries with other people. And the reason a lot of women, especially when you lack confidence, struggle with boundaries is because you just want everyone to like you and think you're a nice person. And somewhere along the way, it got programmed that if I have boundaries that take care of me and take care of my energy, I'm a bitch. Then I am a bitch and no one likes me and I'm not nice. And I struggled with that too for a long time. And I got to a place where it's like, when you're bending over backwards to come across as nice, you're actually being very fake because you're lying and denying to yourself. And so, I have a training that we do inside the program about setting boundaries and saying no. And I always say, saying no, it's a one-word sentence. No. You don't need excuses. You don't need to come up with elaborate stories. And saying no doesn't equate to you're a bitch. It equates to you're a strong, confident woman who knows how to take care of herself and isn't worried about what everybody else thinks. So this whole just throwing yourself into people pleasing is just as toxic as throwing yourself into the food. And I have found through the work that I do that a lot of times emotional eaters are just as bad with people pleasing. And it's people pleasing to a fault because it's a form of denial. Because I just want everyone to think I'm nice and positive all the time. I'm the helpful one. And the people that do this are the people who are hurting the most. Because they're not acknowledging their feelings. They're not acknowledging their emotions. They're just staying surface level to appease everybody else and because they're also uncomfortable with their own emotions. So if I'm saying this and you're going like, "Oh Lord, girl, you're talking about me." Yeah, then this is something that you need to address. This is something that we need to talk about. And the other thing that you do is when you have uncomfortable emotions, because we're not going to call them negative, we're going to call them uncomfortable, right? They're the uncomfortable emotions. When you have uncomfortable emotions, you invalidate those by judging yourself and shaming yourself. And you do it to other people too. But let's really talk about how you're doing this to yourself first and foremost. So again, that example of, you had a bad day, or you look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh my God, you fat bitch, I hate you." And then you're going, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're talking to yourself like that again. I can't believe you let yourself gain this weight again. I can't believe you're sitting here talking to yourself in such a negative way." You looked in the mirror and you felt like shit. You looked in the mirror and you didn't like what you see. That's the truth. That's the fact. You don't like what you see in the mirror. Does that mean you're a fat, nasty bitch? No. But that's the meaning that you've attached to it, and that's the judgment that you're giving yourself. Do you see the difference? So what you do is you shame and you guilt yourself for feeling what you're feeling. Sometimes, even when you've gone through this journey and you've done the irresistible you work, sometimes you're going to look in the mirror and go, "Oh God." That doesn't go away the rest of your life. And the issue, so let's think about that with weight loss. You are sold on the belief that getting to your goal weight, achieving your after picture, is going to take away all the icky negative emotions you've ever felt about yourself. And the minute you have a bad, negative, unpleasant emotion or unpleasant thought about yourself, what do? "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this again. Oh my God, I lost the weight. Why am I feeling this way?" And you're judging and guilting and shaming the shit out of yourself because you bought into the idea that weight loss and weight loss alone would take all of those feelings away. But it doesn't. Because why? Why? Because you're a human being. You're a human being. And guess what? Human beings are complex creatures. Human beings have a multiple range of emotions in one given day. Think about from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, the range of emotions that you feel in 24 hours. It's a lot. And that's normal. We're not supposed to feel happy-go-lucky 24 hours a day. You might have a day or two where you're just on it, on top of the world, but that isn't long lasting, and it's not supposed to be. And I think for a lot of you, you need to hear that. You need to have that permission to know, oh, I'm not supposed to be happy all the time. No, you're not. And feeling sad about a situation doesn't equal you're a sad person. It means you're a person who happens to feel sad in this moment. And for a lot of people, I think especially with everything going on right now where, the world and life is just heavier than it's ever been. We have more on our plates than we've probably ever had it before, with the stress and the worry and the anxiety and the unknowns and all these different things. And, you know, I know I've done episodes on this before where it's like I can feel overwhelmed by everything going on with the world and the pandemic and working and momming and all the responsibilities that I have. It doesn't mean I'm overwhelmed all the time. I can be overwhelmed and grateful for my daughter. Let's use that as an example, okay? Because I've really been going through that lately where I have a 3.5-year-old. I'm, 28 weeks pregnant. I'm pissed off. I'm annoyed a lot of the times. My hormones are raging. And this monotony of what's been going on for the past 6 months, I'm like at my limit. And I've had moments lately where I'm like, if she asks me to play Barbies one more fucking time, I'm going to explode. I literally cannot play pretend or play Barbies or some other bullshit one more time today. Does that mean I'm a horrible mother? Does that mean I don't love my daughter with every fiber of my being? Of course not. I adore my little girl. I will do anything for her. I love hanging out with her. But 24/7, 6, 7 months in a row, on top of being pregnant, I'm done. And I think, there's people, these toxic positivity people, if you were to say to them, I just need to run away for like 24 hours, those people judge you like, oh my God, she's such a bad mom. She doesn't appreciate her kids. She's not grateful for her daughter. Do you know how many people can't have kids and you have these thoughts? That's toxic positivity. Because I can love my children, but also need a break from my kids. Because I'm a human being. And I'm one person. So I want you to separate having an unpleasant emotion doesn't define who you are as a human being. Does that make sense? But toxic positivity teaches you that, oh, no. You have to be happy all the time. You have to be grateful all the time. You can't think anything bad. And the truth is, you're entitled to feel what the hell you feel. So I think that's just such a good example. It's like, just because your kids are getting on your nerves doesn't mean you hate your kids. And, I want to personally connect and be around people that understand that, right? I need friends that I'm like, I can't play Barbies one more fucking time. And they're like, me too, girl. I'm over this shit. And we both have an understanding. I know we both love our kids, right? So please, if you don't take anything else away, please take away the fact that having an unpleasant emotion doesn't define who you are as a person. It doesn't mean you're an unhappy person. It doesn't mean you're not, a good person. So a lot of people, especially with women, try to sugarcoat everything that's going on and not lean into the uncomfortable feelings because they don't want to be perceived as not nice, not a good mom, not a good person, not a good employee, not a good this, not a good that. And if I say I'm having a really hard time lately, just having energy to give a fuck about things, I'm having a hard time keeping up, that doesn't mean I'm this dark, depressed, miserable person 24/7. And that's the thing, is we are supposed to be this complex makeup of different emotions that all happen in the same day. Okay? So, that's the problem with toxic positivity, is I think it stops a lot of people from reaching out and just saying how they feel, because they don't want to be labeled as, oh, you're a bad mom. Oh, you're just depressed. Oh, you're horrible. Oh, she's sad all the time. Because they think they have to like portray this perfect happy life, and that's just not reality. Okay? Um so what you do is you invalidate those unpleasant emotions, and you shame yourself, you judge yourself for feeling the way that you're feeling, instead of going, you know what? I really can't play Barbies one more effing time. It's getting on my nerves and I'm sick of it. That's it. That's what you're feeling. Okay? Um we're just complex. We're not supposed to be black and white, good or bad, positive or negative. Emotions are on a wide scale and a wide range. So, let's just talk a little bit about how, what do you do instead? So, if you're a person who denies your emotions, emotions make you uncomfortable, you sugarcoat them, you funnel your denial into people pleasing because you just want to be seen as nice, and you're kind of exhibiting some of the behaviors that we're talking about. Well, what do you do to change that? Number one, you need to get out of denial and accept that suffering and discomfort is just part of the human experience. Because nobody wants to admit that. Nobody wants to accept that discomfort and suffering is part of the experience. My grandma, before she passed, she used to always say, it would be in the radio, because this is back in the day when it was like radio stations. There was no Pandora, none of that stuff. And I would like change the stations, and I would get all pissed off because I didn't like the music. So I would like want to put, like, when they would play a song I didn't like, and she would say stuff like, you just got to take the good with the bad. And it's that, right? Like, life is taking the good with the bad. It's part of the experience. We are not wired, we are not programmed to be happy, positive cheerleaders 24/7. That's just not reality. So, number one, it's like, get out of denial and just accept that suffering and discomfort is part of the process. It's part of life. And it doesn't go away because you got to your goal weight, right? It doesn't go away because you fit in your size 8 jeans. And I think with the yo-yo diet body hate shame cycle, that's where everybody gets all messed up, is thinking like, oh yeah, I can wear my size 8 jeans, so why am I feeling so shitty about myself today? Well, because you're human. And that's what happens. And then you need to have the skills to redirect thoughts and process feelings. And if you don't have that, and the only thing you've ever done is eat and get caught up in the yo-yo diet cycle of gaining and losing, because you're getting some kind of satisfaction out of that cycle, or you wouldn't keep doing it. People always clutch their pearls when I say that. But staying overweight and staying in the constant losing, gaining, you're getting something out of that. You are. So just know that this is part of the process, and no amount of weight loss, no amount of, working on your body, losing weight, is ever going to change suffering and discomfort. It's part of the process of being alive. So that's first and foremost, is like, just let's get out of that denial. And number two is you need to accept that emotions are fleeting, right? What I said earlier about how having a moment where you feel sad or upset or anger or annoyance or whatever the emotion is, we have to process emotions through our body. Emotions are like energy. And when you sugarcoat it and just pretend that everything is good, when you funnel it into people pleasing so everyone can think you're perfect, those emotions didn't process out of your body. They're still there. And that's even more harmful, because now you're stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And those people that come across as so nice and so friendly and so blah, 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 when they blow up, everybody's like, whoa, where did that come from? It's like a volcano. because you're just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing down, whether it's with the food or the people pleasing. And eventually, you're going to explode and it's going to be way worse because those emotions did not move through your body. They got shoved down. And I see this a lot with people that are on the yo-yo diet body hate shame cycle. There's a lot of entitlement and there's a lot of denial that goes on. And that denial, I go back to my example too, like when I had gained all my weight after high school, that denial eventually is going to blow up. It's going to blow up because emotions need to move out of our body. We need a way to actually move that energy out of our body, process it, accept it, and move it forward. And that's some of the things we teach in the program is we have a very specific process on how to do thought work because thoughts ultimately drive emotions. So when you have an emotion about something, it's because you're having a thought about what something means. And we have a very specific way that we work through that. So the third thing here is you have to allow yourself to feel what you feel. And the caveat to that is without judgment. You have to learn how to sit in your own discomfort. And that's what you're avoiding. You are avoiding discomfort at all costs. And avoiding discomfort is actually what causes the discomfort. So think about that, right? Like avoiding it is actually causing you more discomfort rather than, okay, I feel like shit. I don't like how it feels. This is how I'm feeling. I'm going to sit in this. I'm going to process through this because that's the only way out. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is what we've been talking about is you just push it down or you funnel it into the people pleasing, the overeating, whatever. Okay? Sugarcoating a situation doesn't make it go away. It just pushes it down so it can rot and build and build, and it stacks and stacks and stacks until you explode. Or you funnel that into dieting. You funnel it into losing your weight, getting to your goal thinking, well, that'll all just go away because I'll be skinny and happy. And the moment you fit in those size 8 jeans and you feel like shit about yourself, you're judging and shaming yourself like, I can't believe I feel this way. I'm skinny now. What's going on? And what do? You go back to the food, you gain the weight back, you beat yourself up. I can't believe this happened, blah, blah, blah. As if it just happened to you, like you had no part in the process. And so you exhibit those behaviors. It like shows up in your subconscious, these behaviors that you're doing because you're not allowing yourself to wake the hell up and recognize and own what it is you're doing. So, the faster you can learn to say, okay, discomfort, pain, suffering, oh, that's normal. That's part of the process. That doesn't go away because I lose weight. That doesn't go away because I earn more money. That doesn't go away because I got the whatever that you were trying to get, right? It's part of the process. It's taking the good with the bad. That's how we move forward. Because there's the unpleasant feelings, and then there's all the judgment and shame that you like stack on top of it, which that's what makes the situation worse. So we're going to move away from this toxic positivity bullshit. We're going to, and so let me just say this too, because people are like, well, that means I'm going to be a nasty, negative person. No, it doesn't. It means you're keeping it real. And here's the thing too. When you acquire the emotional maturity to be able to handle the uncomfortable stuff, you're able to actually have a better outlook on things. Because I don't see life and the world anymore as positive, negative, black or white, right? And so if I'm feeling some kind of way, I'm like, this is just how I'm feeling. It doesn't define me. It doesn't mean anything other than I just feel really sad right now and I'm going to let myself feel sad. And then I'm able to process it and it moves out of my body and I can move forward. And I always say, like, you're entitled to a pity party, but it better have a start and an end date, a start and an end time, right? So, toxic positivity is just as bad, if not worse, as like the doom and gloom negativity that goes on. So we have to find this balance, and that balance comes from accepting that this is what it is. This is part of the process. The uncomfortableness is part of the process, and knowing how to feel what you feel without the judgment so that you can process through those emotions. That's it. So if this is helpful to you, if you want to like dive in and learn more, I would encourage you to register for a free confidence clarity call with me, because this is a lot of what we teach inside of the Irresistible You program. So let's see if that's a good fit for you based on where you're at, what your goals are. You can do that, pick your date and time of what works for your schedule at irresistibleicing.com/call. As always, the link is in the show notes as well. If this episode or any episode of the Irresistible You podcast has helped you, I would love if you could do me a quick favor. If you could head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review, that is the most powerful way you can help the podcast and help me personally. Because what it does is it pushes the podcast out into the algorithm so more women who need to hear what we're talking about can find the podcast. So I will catch you guys inside the free Facebook group. If you are not a member, please request to join. There is a podcast discussion group. Let's get in there. Let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about toxic positivity. And yeah, let's just do this. So head on over. The link is in the show notes, or you can Google Irresistible You podcast on Facebook and you will find the group. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Until the next one, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.